What does it take to move from the ranch to the boardroom and build a legacy that lasts? My guest this week is someone who's done exactly that. Jeffrey Hayzlett is the chairman and CEO of the Seuite Network, a best-selling author and one of the most influential voices in modern leadership. From his early days as a small-town entrepreneur to running billion-dollar marketing budgets, Jeffrey has learned that success isn't about perfection. It's about persistence, purpose, and the courage to act. So here's the question. Are you ready to think bigger, act bolder, and lead with more intention? Let's dive into the mindset that transforms everyday leaders into extraordinary ones, right here inside the Prosperity Lounge.
Grab a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. Step inside, we're breaking chains.
Welcome back to the Prosperity Lounge, where hope meets freedom and growth gets personal. I'm your host, Joey Ruffalo. Today I'm joined by I'm just going to blush over this probably, a powerhouse in business and leadership and communication. Like Jeffrey Hayzlett. He's the chairman and CEO of the Seuite Network, home of one of the largest communities of executives, thought leaders, and influencers in the world. He's the best-selling author, a global business celebrity, and the host of Seuite with Jeffrey Hayzlett, which is recorded at the
New York Stock Exchange. We're now calling it All Business with Jeffrey, is it? Yeah, all live business from the New York Stock Exchange.
What I really appreciate about Jeff is that his story didn't start in the boardroom. It started with hard work, grit, and the belief that thinking big isn't just a slogan, it's a strategy. Jeffrey, it's an honor to have you here. Thanks for pulling up a chair. Welcome to the lounge.
Hey, thanks for being late. What a lounge, too, let me tell you. This is great to be here.
Can't wait to see what the green screen is going to look like later. I'll put this fireplace behind us.
Hey, whatever we got. You know, it's good. The magic of television, the magic of podcasts.
Exactly. You've had such a fascinating career from before you were a Fortune 100 CMO and media host. What did those early years look like for you?
Yeah, just like every other, it was just a business. I mean, whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, there's no difference, just number of zeros you got behind the numbers. So, you know, I was working in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, trying to make a living. I was a printer, had a printing company, had a PR company, had a lobbying business that I was in Washington with, and traveled around the world in trying to influence policy for different groups and businesses. And so, yeah, led me into association management business. I had that. I had just about every business you could do. I even owned a pheasant farm at one time.
No kidding.
Yeah, until I realized I tried to corner the market on pheasants till I realized there wasn't one. You know, so, you know, we all have those failures in our career.
It's like an alpaca thing.
Yeah, well, but real pheasants, like ring-necked pheasants. I mean, this was like, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of birds, you know, in you know, fields the size of football fields, surrounded by poles and nets and everything. Yeah.
I can just picture you wrangling them around.
To catch them, you catch them with a big fishing net. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah. And a pair of good gloves because they got sharp spurs.
Now, you've spoken about growing up on South Dakota.
South Dakota. My father was in the military. We say, you know, ranch. I mean, you know, South Dakota, we don't call it a ranch. Everybody in New York calls it a ranch. So, you know, so I once got there was a magazine article, and they put pictures of my ranch, which it wasn't even my ranch. So, yeah, it's, you listen, my father was in the military. And so we grew up military bases all over the world, all over the country. And so that was, you know, my upbringing. And then I got to meet my wife, who had a farm and, you know, family and the whole bit. And so we expanded our roots.
It's like anything with a backyard is a ranch.
Yeah, outside of South Dakota. Like, you got to have, you know, at least 1,000 acres before we start calling it a ranch.
How did your background and being on a I'll put quote ranch shape the way you approach leadership in business today?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, hard work and grit. You said it right off the bat. I mean, you know, I didn't get anywhere without working hard. You know, nothing was given to me, nothing was handed to me. I had to, you know, make my own money for college and get my own scholarships, do everything I had in order to pay for it. It took me decades to pay it off, right? So that's what it is. You just got to get a job done. You get up early, you go to bed late, you work hard. That's the way it works.
Work hard and then maybe hardly work?
Well, it would be great. I've never been that. I don't think I always talk about will I retire and those kinds of things. I doubt that's going to happen. Yeah.
Doubt it. What was the moment that first opened the door to the C-suite for you, and what was surprised you most about stepping into that world?
Well, I think first of all, being the CEO, being the leader of your own business, you're everything's in scale. Whether you're a very small business or big business, you're still the CEO. That's why in the C-suite network, it's got to be this tall. Meaning you got to be a VP or higher.
Yeah.
So that's in essence the C-suite. You're vice president of finance, you might be the CFO, but depending on the size of the company. But stepping into that role was at first at a small business, right? And small businesses then represented millions of dollars, and then of course ultimately I went up to a C-suites and in billions of dollars of companies. So, but it was the
sound
same.
of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My last job was running a $17 billion marketing and advertising budget. A sales budget, and then gross sales $187 billion.
When you made that leap from entrepreneur to executive leader, what was the biggest mindset shift that you had to make?
Yeah, well, besides the sphincter tightening that you go through and that kind of thing, because you'd be sitting in these, major corporation, major company, and then you start to think, oh my gosh, this is big, But then I took the zeros off and said, is this a good decision in Sioux Falls, South Dakota? So it was also the fact that you had to do it, and there's nobody there to teach you, and there's nobody there to say, go do it. It's just, it's expected. So I would be sitting in these meetings and going, man, this place is screwed up and somebody should do something. And I would look around and that was me.
That was you.
Yeah. And then you start to get the sense of the confidence and everything else that you have to do this. This is your job. No one's giving you a code book for it,
right.
And so you've got to go out and do it. And so that's first of all, it's scary and heady stuff, right? To be able to sit in those meetings and understand you're affecting people's lives, you're affecting the sales and growth of the company, success of the company. I remember I was 41 years old, 45 years old, and sitting in these meetings where multi-billion-dollar decisions are made, and yeah, that's like whoa. And I came from a small little PR firm, prior to that, of doing mergers and acquisitions and things along those lines and building companies, but still, yeah, it's like, yeah, whoa. There's nobody gives you a plan. It's all these young people come to you today, right, and say, tell me about your plan. My plan was to eat. That was my plan. Right. And I got lucky along the way. I'm good at what I do, and somebody might say that's bragging, but it's not bragging when it's true. And so, you have to go and do the things you need to do, and that just, you do it. You just got to do it. You get up and do a job. It's like, one time I was in this board situation where I'm on a board of a company, it's publicly traded, and we were at odds with the chairman of the company because of what he was doing.
Sure.
He just was doing things inappropriately and was doing them and trying to take the company. And we have a responsibility as board of directors to protect the shareholders of the company. That's what we do. But in the process, I'm getting sued by the shareholders. I'm getting sued by the CEO. We have to suspend our fees, right? In terms of board fees, because, you don't want to look like you're trying to take things. And I'm losing money. I'm going to lose all my stock, in essence, and all my investment in the company. And my wife says, why are you doing this? I said, because what good people do. And I think that's what most C-suite executives, most leaders and executives in a company, that's what they're trying to do too.
And that philosophy and that thought process has to come from those early days of grit and determination.
Yeah, I think so. You have to have, I was talking to somebody today, I was talking to the SHRM organization, Society of HR Management, and we were talking a lot, how do you steer the communication and leadership of a company? And I think it always comes down to values. You talk about culture. Culture takes a long time, right? But if you have values and you have purpose and everybody knows what that purpose and what your values are, it really drives what you're supposed to do, right?
I love that story. It shows that leadership is something you grow into.
Yeah, well, I've been in companies where, you could be standing by the door at 10 minutes to 5 and almost be killed by the stampede of people rushing out, right? Or you can build a culture in which we stay there till the job gets done, right? And you balance the time and you balance the life because as much as you can. And we say, I like somebody used the word from a stage today here. We're at the CEO Summit with Liberty University, And someone used, there's no such thing as life balance. There's harmony. I thought, that's a good term. That's a good way. I like that better than life balance because there is no balance. Let me be very clear.
Because some people think balance is even, and sometimes
it's not.
The harmony could be.
It's never even.
Harmonious. It's always working. Sometimes I'm working more. Sometimes I'm working less. But everything is, as long as I'm not neglecting certain parts, I'm still in harmony with
I like harmony. I thought that was good. In tune, harmony. I
think we're going to steal that.
You should. I can't remember the gentleman who said it, but he deserves
it's mine now.
Yeah. I've trademarked it. It's trademarked. Yeah.
Let's talk about how that philosophy of your grit, determination, and maybe this harmonious thing translates into what you've built with the C-Suite network. So C-Suite is now one of the largest professional communities of executives in the world. What inspired you to create it, and what gap were you trying to fill?
I just wanted to bring together a group of trusted executives. I just know the value of what that was like. When I was the CMO of Eastman Kodak, when I got together with other CMO leaders, one of the best things that I could do was be together with other CMO leaders of similar sized companies. That was very important for me because billion-dollar companies like to do business with billion-dollar companies, and their billion-dollar problems are billion-dollar problems, and opportunities. So I found value in that. So I thought, well, geez, how can I extend that and then have a trusted community? Because think about this, Joey. When you need advice on what to do with NASCAR or what to do with the Olympics or what to do with the NFL or what to do with PGA, you got to kind of talk to people who've been there. Right. And you don't want advice. Advice is given by somebody who's never done it before. I want counsel, someone that's been there. And so when I started doing the things I had to do at Kodak, I had a lot of executives who called me to say, hey, how'd you do that, right? And then, I can call other people and do the same thing. And you can take the armor off the door. You take the shields down, and you can have great, trusted conversations. And then I know I could trust that person to give me, sane and transparent advice. And so, or counsel in this case. And that I really like that. And so I wanted that in the C-suite. I also know that, I go look at LinkedIn pages, I look at people's websites, I go look at this, and you can't tell, is it a small company? Is it a big company? Is it an experienced company? What's really there? And the only way to do that, quite frankly, is a lot of one-on-one or a circle of executives who have been there, done that. And so I wanted something like that, and that's really what it was. And then, and then how to amplify all that. So content leads to the community, and the community leads to marketplace or commerce, and that's really what we're trying to build.
And what I love about the network itself is it's not just a networking thing. You guys have, speaking to your councils, you have thought council, leadership council. Yeah. You've built not communities, you've built councils.
Yeah. Well, communities or councils, same thing. Peer-to-peer groups, and I call them apples on the tree. You want to look at it as like the giant sequoia tree, right? And we're not a networking group. We're a network. That's a big difference. So think of it like a giant tree, and on this giant tree, you've got all these great apples. And it's this community and this community and this community. Different types, different flavors, different places on the tree, but all connected in the tree, a network. And that's really, and then underneath this large canopy is this lush ecosystem, and then there's this platform that supports these great roots, and those great roots are in our podcast, our books, and everything else that you can do to use those tools, the things that you can use to be able to propel your business. And that's really, truly what we built.
Now, you mentioned briefly CMO of Eastman Kodak. I remember watching you on The Apprentice.
Yes, Celebrity Apprentice. Celebrity Apprentice, yes.
2 years in a row.
No, 4 years.
4 years.
3 years on the, as a judge, and then they let me come back and hang out with the 4th season.
What is it like working with celebrities in that sense? Like, obviously, it's a television show. It's set up. There's a lot of
there's a lot of. I won't say it's staged or anything, but it's because it's a game show. It's actually treated a game show. They had to treat everybody the same. The teams had to be the same. There's a lot of rules around it, but there's a lot of shenanigans that get going. Just Steve Baldwin and Brett Michaels, and then you had Pierce Morgan and Omarosa. Oh my God, Omarosa came from Celebrity or Apprentice back to Celebrity. Her and Pierce. You had Trace Atkins, Penn Jillette. Some really Debbie Harry. I mean, I can just go on, and I met them all, and some really favorites, and good friends with Penn Jillette to this day. Because Penn and I were like, whoa. Penn and I had actually met beforehand at a conference. and in Las Vegas, and where we both got into an argument on stage in a good way, because he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
He's really intelligent. I got to imagine his Mensa chart is just off the, the score is off the chart. He's really that smart.
Yeah.
And we got into some things about civil liberties and so forth, which is a great debate and healthy debate, because and by the way, he's a huge guy. He's a big guy. He's like 6'6" or whatever. I mean, I'm 6'3" and he's bigger than me, and so we got to talking. And by the way, he was a lot bigger then. He's now thinned down. He's thinned a lot. Got a cookbook out, which he called and said, "Hey, help me market it. What do you got to do?" But yeah, I made good friends to this day, and still get together. Trace Adkins is another one, and Clint Black. Joan Rivers was a good friend. I really liked Joan. Got to get to know her. She was so nice to my children. When she went on tour, she was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. My kids were young, and she provided them backstage.
Oh, wow.
Although she's got a potty mouth. She had a potty mouth, but I liked her a great deal. And then of course Trump, of course, and then Ivanka and Don Jr., Eric, got to know them, and great people. You could say whatever you want about politics or whatever, but you got to say something about a bunch of kids that still hang with their dad even though their parents are divorced. I thought that was pretty unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it leads to a greater question of like you've done things in life and you've had opportunities and you've taken them, and those opportunities have led to you meeting these people and then opening up more doors.
Which is what you should do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've earned the right to be there, and by being there, I've stayed there, and as a result, done things and delivered, and therefore you rise. So the boat rises when you do well, and that's what that's about.
Now, you also have a book or several books.
I have a couple books, 4 books.
Think Big, Act Bigger.
Yeah, that was my 3rd book. Think Big, Act Bigger, The Rewards of Being Relentless. Probably one of my, they're all my favorites. It's like your children. Yeah, it's like my children. But some you like more than others. That's just the way it works.
That seemed to be like the go-to book for entrepreneurs looking to scale. For someone who's listening who feels stuck right now, what's one small practical step they can take this week to start thinking bigger?
All right, realize that no one's going to die. No one's going to die. What I mean by that, everybody talks about failing. Some people brag about failing. And you see a lot of entrepreneurs these days talking about their failures. Well, people ask me all the time, what's your biggest failure? I said, I don't know. I haven't done it yet. What I mean by that, I always have them. I'm going to continue to have them. I don't ponder them. I don't remember them really well. I learn from them quickly. But the key thing is not to fail fast, but to win fast. And that's what you have to do. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. And what you believe that your business is going to be about typically isn't going to be where it's going to end up. So you're going to have to learn to pivot quickly, and you're going to have to learn to just, to follow the course, just like a stream builds its own course and carves it out through the ground. You're going to do the same exact thing when it comes to your business. And so you just got to realize that and move.
You've also said something about leadership is having the courage to act.
Yeah.
It's not just a title to speak.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, because you want to add some more to that, or I can go on?
Yeah, I was going to say, how does this show up inside your organization and community?
Well, I'd much rather get started and do something and figure it out as we go. We're mostly building the plane as we go. So you got to have some general guidelines, some bumpers of which you live by, and that's the values in your SOP, your standard operating procedure. So I spend a lot of time with the team on understanding how we're going to work together. If I send you an email, how fast should you respond? In an hour? No, come on, right? So how should we communicate so that we know what the language is and to understand where we're going to go? Much like players on the team. Are you going to go left? Or are you going to right? So we have to, if I'm going to call an audible, you're going to know what it is? If we're going to call, if I say this or this, we have to learn to get along. And if you miss a block, I don't want you to come back and complaining. I want you saying, hey, I did that. It was my fault. Good, I got it. Let's move on, learn from it. If you need help, okay, now let's help you block that guy. So those are the kinds of things that we would talk about in terms of that language. So putting in place. What was the first part of that?
Having the courage to act.
Yeah. So many times I hear entrepreneurs tell me what they're going to do. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. That's a story.
Great, now go do it.
It's a story. Yeah, do it. So now do it. Okay. And now, until that, I had one guy tell me, I was at this conference in Canada, Camp Friendship is the name of the camp, where they take you and you stay at a camp and sleep in beds for 14-year-olds. I mean, we take over a camp for a week. And I
Sure.
keynoted there, and this guy came up and started telling me they're going to do this, this, and this. I said, how much of that are you doing? He goes, none of it yet. I go, then it's a story. You think you're going to do that. No, sir, I'm doing it. I said, I believe in your tenacity of your belief that you think you're going to do it, but I'm telling you, until you do it, you got a story.
It's like I could say I'm going to run a marathon next year.
Yeah.
Next week. There's no way
exactly.
I'm doing that.
Yeah,
Story.
I'm going to climb Mount Rushmore. I'm going to climb Mount Everest, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
You just mentioned something about building the plane as you're going along.
Yeah.
It's very similar to where I get stuck in my head is people telling me done is better than perfect.
Always. But once done, strive for perfect. See, there's the difference.
Oh, okay.
There. So I get
That's
that?
part two that I didn't.
Most people don't do
people
that.
do part
Done
two.
is better than perfect, but once done, strive for perfect, right?
Wow. Okay.
And that's a great way to live. And that's one of my operating principles.
T-shirt right there.
Well, that's one of our operating principles in the C-Suite network, right? I want you to know I'd rather have you get the brochure done and know it's not quite finished. And is it C-suite worthy? That's the key thing for us.
Yeah.
So it's got to be of a look and feel. But if you're going to make it better, no one died. Okay, got it. We'll make the next one better and the next one after that. And we'll learn. I'd much rather get the event going, get started, do the event, and then learn from it and then enhance it as we go. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what's next for C-Suite? You're helping leaders adapt to AI, remote work, purpose-driven business.
Yeah, we're looking
What's
at
next?
doing a national AI resource center. I think we're going to be putting that in Phoenix. We're in negotiations now, but I think the biggest piece of everything that we're doing is how to, right? What's the best way to get you where you need to go? And one of those is in the media, how to build more content. Content is the game. Content's king, activation's queen, but context is the kingdom, right? So being able to get and be seen by the right people, right?
Sure.
So driving that content's important. So we're spending a lot of time on C-Suite Radio, C-Suite TV, so building out our TV and podcast network so that we can offer a fast channel on the TV side, the video side. I know that you have your show's on YouTube, but I also want to see that on broadcast, digital channels, airline channels, anywhere someone can see a video.
I can see this face.
Yeah, well, you're eye candy, brother. That's what it is. I mean, but I know I am.
That's why my wife loves me.
That's exactly right.
I thought I had a face for radio. That's what I was told about.
Yeah, you know what? I tell you what, when you do big television, you get that. People will write to you and say, hey, you know you have a face for radio, or hey, my wife's a personal trainer. Would you like her number? You get those kinds of things like, hey, shut up. Shut up.
Now, you've worked with countless leaders, like you were talking about earlier, from Fortune 500 companies to small business owners.
Yep.
What's one common trait you see in the ones that truly break through?
The best use of talent and resources. When I do my show, All Business with Jeffrey Hayzlett, filmed live on the New York Stock Exchange now, but when I talk to C-level executives, the number one common theme is always about talent. That talent, how to manage it, how to motivate it, how to upgrade it, how to get rid of it, and all of the above. And so talent is a big piece of that in terms of how to use it. And then best use of all resources, right? Your job in the C-suite is not to be the smartest person in the room, because you're not. Your job is to pull together the smartest people in the room, and your job is really to be the most strategic in the room, and to really decide how to utilize those resources. So those that are able to harness that, right, and pull that together, that's the ones that really win, and they do it really well. And then, you think about Jeff Bezos, how he started. I remember meeting him in the mid-'90s. He was basically doing book publishing. That's what Amazon was book publishing. They decided, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And, he's a scrawny little guy in the corner. He had a little shitty little desk and shitty little handwritten sign. And now look at what he's doing.
Photo,
Now he's got new hair, new wife, new body, new plane, new, everything. And
His yacht's up there too,
good
my
for
gosh.
him. Yeah, and good, by the way, and good for him.
Yeah.
But that I think that's the key, is that how they use those resources, and you look at what Amazon does and how they do it, and how relentless they are about the improvement in the systems and the use of resources and this and this and this. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
And I want to reiterate for people that might be listening that are solopreneurs, it's not necessarily you have to go out and hire talent. But it's finding the people around you that do the things that you don't do well, and utilizing them.
Well, and then do what you do. There's a speaker once talked to me, and we said, okay, what would be the best things to do for ourselves? I kind of live by the thing: automate, eliminate, delegate. So I'm always constantly the best use of my time. What can I automate? What can I delegate? And what can I eliminate? Right? And now I'm also using the word convert because I'm always constantly working on the sales. How can I get a better CAGR? How can I get a better, cost of everything in terms of the organization, but converting on the funnel that we have because we have a massive funnel.
Now, before we wrap up, I have a segment, which is our 10 rapid fire questions.
So I love that. I love it. Okay.
All right. What is the best book you ever read that changed your perspective?
Barbarians at the Gate. How about the Takeover RJ Reynolds Nabisco? It talks to me about how to do things big. It was an unbelievable book.
I've got a lot of books to read now.
Yeah.
What's the daily habit that contributes most to your success?
Getting up really early. Yep.
I gotta work on
4 or 5 and having hours done before everybody else gets in.
Early bird catches the worm.
Man, it works. It works.
What's the worst financial or business mistake you ever made to this point? And what did you learn from it?
Oh, man. Not having someone watch my money.
Yeah.
Lesson from Oprah. She writes the check still. She signs the check still, right? I don't know if that's altogether true, but my point is she's watching the bank account. And that was that's an important thing to do.
Yeah, I remember that. That hit hard in Rocky 5.
Yeah.
When Rocky lost all his money.
Oh, yeah.
Just accountants took it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of athletes, if you think about
That's
it.
true.
Look at a lot of stars,
If you could have dinner with any entrepreneur, past or present, who would it be?
Cornelius Vanderbilt.
What's one mindset shift that completely changed the game for you?
Probably the what I said earlier: automate, eliminate, and delegate. It just putting everything in that mind. How can I, especially the delegation? How can I take my list of everything I got to do today and get most of that done by other people?
What's one word you'd use to describe your journey so far?
Awesome.
If you had to start over tomorrow with nothing but what's in your head, what's the first thing you do?
Oh, wow. Start raising money.
Call those contacts.
Yeah, you start raising money, man, because no matter whatever you're going to do, you're going to need money.
What's one thing people misunderstand about you or your work?
Then I'm not such a hard ass.
No, he's not. And what's your personal definition of prosperity?
Oh, how well you're respected by the people you most love and admire.
I'm going to pause there for a second because that's awesome.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
Jeffrey, thank you so much for stepping into the Prosperity Lounge. Your story is a reminder that great leaders aren't born in corner offices. They're forged through grit, vision, and service. To learn more about Jeffrey's work and connect with the C-Suite Network, visit csuitenetwork.com.
That's the best place. Exactly.
That's awesome. And as always, everybody, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge.
Booyah.
Thanks for pulling up a chair inside the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal and hope meets freedom. I hope today's conversation sparks some new ideas and inspire you to take your next bold action towards freedom in business, finances, and life. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. You can also join our free community at theprosperitylounge.com, where the conversation continues and you can connect with others, get access to our exclusive resources like our budget course, our budget app, and a ton of downloads. Until next time, everybody, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough.
This is where momentum meets the sun. The prosperity